Namaste, ladies and gentlemen. In my previous video, I was talking about the science of sound, science of vibrations, and the very aspects of Pancha Bhutas, Pancha Jnanendriyas, Pancha Karmendriyas, and giving that reference to the very existence of the terrestrial world, which is beyond a point, which is beyond the words or the beyond the alphabets that are existing in the universe. And I was speaking about the Saptaswaras and its ranges as well in my previous videos. Now let's go much further. Okay. Now to conceptualize and give that contextual reference, Prakriti and Purusha's conversation, Purusha was talking about the consciousness. How exactly this consciousness works at a virtual world. As I was speaking about worlds, right? There are two worlds, virtual and real, which work on Jagrat Swapna Shushuptavastha as per Vedas and Upanishads. And for this, the individual does that time travel between space and time. And time and space being, they don't have any limitations. It's unlimited, ever expansive. That is what is called yoga and samayoga aspect. Now this is where one needs to understand about the imagery and the auditory aspect of the human existence. However, here again, the terrestrial world is predetermined. It is in the auto mode, ladies and gentlemen, understand this. That imagery and that thought process, if we really see, is based on the having those prerequisites, and the requirements are following those dharma, artha, kamya, moksha aspect. These are very again, it is like dependent on how constructively the individual is thinking and destructively individual is building his or her image in the mind. Understand this, ladies and gentlemen. It's a very complex process wherein this at a neurological level. So one needs to really create that image, having these prerequisites. Let's say he or she is not following these prerequisites and having a thought or developed a character, created that character in itself. What happens is, the end result or the end output, that response to stimulus which is created, the result will be devastating because you are going against the nature. One needs to understand the prerequisites or the requirements as a whole. And that is the reason why I say that yoga drashta, yoga drushya, yoga maya, yoga mahamaya aspects needs to be really looked at. Now, that is not the only part which happens over here. the systematic process that happens at a conscious level is, it happens at delusionary world, illusionary world, and illusionary world. Though, here again, these are not the prerequisites at a terrestrial level. That's the advanced level. Because after after the expiration of the body, when this soul or when this Atman or when this consciousness, so-called consciousness nature goes away, this body expires. That's it. That is first part. Now, as I said in my previous video, I was talking about the chakras, right? In the system, in the human system, it starts with Mooladhara, which is root chakra, sacral chakra, which is Swadhisthana, and the solar plexus, that's Manipura, and the heart chakra being Anahata, and the throat chakra being Vishuddha, and the third eye chakra, which is nothing but Agya, and the crown chakra being Sahasrara. Wherein these whatever attributes that you are giving, okay, this is where actually that I always keep on telling that intuitional aspect. Having said this, you might say, does this process really can be visualized? Yes. This happens at Jagrat Swapna Shushupta Avastha as per Vedas and Upanishads. Considering Ayam Atma Brahman Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti Aham Brahmasmi. Now this is where most of us falter. Most of the human existence falters. Reason being, once you start thinking that I am Brahman or I am Brahma, I am that superhuman being, that's where the ego concept comes into picture. And this is where Natya Brahma or Natya Sutradhara wants. When you are creating that image, you need to understand at the illusionary world and the delusionary world and the real world. Try to, you should try to understand that difference, ladies and gentlemen. And this is what is the core concept of Natya Shastra, wherein characters are created in such a way with these characteristic requirements or with these characteristic prerequisites. And now when you are portraying or when you are performing or when you are giving any recital in the form of Saptaswaras, what happens is it goes at a level which touches upon the Panchakoshas. What are these Panchakoshas? Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Anandamaya Kosha. Which are the key ingredients of the human body at its real form. Now, I was talking about the Saptaswaras, right? Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa, Da, Ni. Okay. And if I transfer them into frequencies: alpha, beta, gamma, eta, theta, neta. These are basically like, the consciousness nature, mind, space, air, fire, water and earth, which are nothing but panchabhutas, which are existing in the nature. On the earthly existence, ladies and gentlemen, understand this. I am not talking at a beyond a point of this. The terrestrial world. The terrestrial world is a nullified or has zero value. It does not have any value as such. At a human conscious level or at a human being level, it's silence, om, hum, yam, ram, vam, lam. Touching upon again consciousness, mind, speaking, grasping, holding, moving, procreating and eliminating. Again, this is where one needs to really understand that the mind conceptual and that textual aspect, contextual aspect starts building, and thus hearing happens, and thus the touching aspect, the touching or the sparsha aspect, seeing, tasting, and that smelling aspect. Again, this is more or less based on amsha and niramsha, being that existence and coexistence. It may exist, it may not exist. It will exist in case if you are creating at the Jagrat Avastha, wherein you create based on the Paramarthika Pratibhasika Satya, Pratibhasika truth or Vyavaharika truth. Pratibhasika being, here in Pratibhasika truth, you are actually creating that character with certain prerequisites or the requirements. At this truth, I need at this character. Let's say like, you are imagining yourself as, Rama. What is that one truth that Rama is having? How are you creating that? That will become Vyavaharika truth. Vyavaharika means the ultimate truth. At this point in time, that is created in the Swapna Avastha, Jagrat Swapna Avastha, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if we really look at the whole of this concept, by and large, at a highest level, this is what is the Natya Krama or the Natya process, the systematic process. And that is the reason why I say Natya Shastra is not only about the text for dancers or musicians. And musical notes Sare Gama Padhani are not only notations for the one who is learning music. However, I will explain this concept of how exactly the pitching, lower, medium, higher and peak, higher and peak works upon the body. And I was talking about the instrumentations also, right? These instrumentations form the, form a part of the subjective and objective understanding which transform the vocal part of the vachika part of the subject of these swaras or the notations or the notes sa re ga ma pa da ni. How you enunciate, how you pronunciate, however, that's a different concept altogether. First, let me explain the very ideology or the very process this human body happens. From Mooladhara to, specifically from Mooladhara to, Sahasrara. It's again a very big concept as a whole. Now, sorry about that. There are states of, 3 states of mind. Okay. I was talking about the virtual state of mind, imaginary state of mind, imaginary state of mind, and the real state of mind. Right? Now, in the image state of mind, the virtual state of mind, this imagery development plus that, thought, these thoughts which you are having, I want to be Rama with these characters or with this characteristic features or with these requirements, with these prerequisites, and I need to enact this, I need to do this, etc., etc. Not as a XYZ name, but as one consciousness nature which is ever pervading. Plus, what is that one main goal of this character to prove? Plus, that image wherein when you are performing those actions or whatever it is, how exactly that character reacts, what are the reactions of it. This is nothing but Jagrata state of avastha as per spirituality. Jagrat Swapna Shushupta avastha, and which happens in the brain as a result of it. Now these are the 3 steps. Okay. The 4th step over here is what are the factors or the cofactors or the requisites or the prerequisites or the requirement of that character that you have created. In building this, in building this character, what is the governing theology? The output result or the end result depends on this, ladies and gentlemen. And that is the reason why I say factors and cofactors, that the image characters is building with this governing theology is developed, and the output of the same comes in the form of motion picture. Whole of the picture and whole of the story is created there itself. Or that the situation or that thing starts happening. And the final step, that is a step 5, Shushuptavastha, is where that final result or the final output of that image creation happens, ladies and gentlemen. Think about it. It's a very hard point, but this is how the total structure of the, imagery or auditory functions of the things happen, ladies and gentlemen. However, I will explain in the brain how exactly it works from the medical terminology. Now here is the crucial point for researchers, or it's a research point, or the real questions which are still not being answered. How do you channelize whole of this? And why do we need to channelize? Is this channelizing based on the karmic deeds? Is this channelization of the thoughts, or is this channelization based on the very requirement part? Thus, here is where, as a part of note, this is all happening by creating the motion picture in the null world with nothing, absolutely zero. There is nothing in nature, everything is opaque. In the sense, there is nothing, there will be nothing there, not even stars or whatever it is. Your voice will be feeble and you will be also not there. XYZ name, or even this Ramachandra will not be there. His voice also will not be there. His thoughts also will not be there. That nullification happens there. Here is where the individual needs to program and align his or her thoughts that are laid down as per the requirements and prerequisites of the nature. And this is what is called engineering and re-engineering, aligning and realigning of the mind at the highest conscious level, ladies and gentlemen. If this is taken care of, the output result will be whatever you think, positive. If you are thinking positive, it will be positive. If you are thinking negative, it will be negative. Of course, here is where one needs to know it and understand. If you are going against the nature and the nature's requirement or the prerequisites, the result outcome is the output that it is expected, and vice versa. On contrary, the terrestrial world, or that world, this is the primary primary level, or the primary layer. The secondary layer is terrestrial world, wherein you go beyond all of this. There will be nothing, absolutely no attributes, no requisites, no prerequisites, no requirements at all. They are created predetermined. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. It's a very hard point, and this has been clearly explained in Natya Shastra. It has been clearly explained in Natya Shastra by Natya Brahma or Natya Sutradhara, or the Purusha to the Prakriti, when Parvati Devi asked Shiva, basing on the very point of Anu and Paramanu. That is the reason why, if you really see, when one gets married, okay, they say Shiva and Parvati. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. Whole of the Natya Shastra, again I say, one needs to really look at far beyond, go beyond the words, beyond the alphabets. It more or less touches Aham Brahmasmi Ekameva Advitiyam Brahma Satyam Jagat Nitya Brahmaiva Jivo Na Paraha. That ultimate truth or the ultimate blissful thinking is what actually, you know, talks about it. And one will come to know about it, ladies and gentlemen. Thus I conclude this video. Stay blessed and have a real blissful life. May the Guru's grace be with you. Have a nice day.